It's still recording, right?
Yeah, it's still recording. Okay, do the clap now. Clap now. There we go. We got it working.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 11th Island. This is episode 53. I'm Brad here with Chris. We're running some UFC 263 preview and predictions. We're going to run through all the fights, give a little recap, and give our prediction. And Chris, are you ready to get into it? It's nice we're actually in person. Are we shutting this intro music off?
Yeah, that was my fade out there.
Yes.
Just pretend like we have the production quality to fade and not just stop.
So it's nice we're in person. This is the first in-person episode that we've done since episode 6.
Yeah.
Like it's been over a year.
It's been a wild ride.
So it's nice to be back in person doing this video. I mean, we got a pretty good pay-per-view here to cover.
Yeah.
So you want to just jump right into it?
Yeah. So UFC's 263.
Yep.
It's a big one. I mean, we got a couple title fights.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, a couple 3 5-rounders too.
Yeah, 3 5-rounders, and then that one's gonna be 5 rounds.
So we'll get to it. We'll get to it, Chris. So first off, the big one: Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori for the Middleweight World Championship of the world. So you got Adesanya coming in at -286, Vettori plus 225. Some big disrespect to Vettori from the odds makers here. I think the situation for this is, if this is Adesanya came into this right off the Costa fight without having to go up for the light heavyweight belt and losing, I think you see him coming as a bigger favorite here, and I think people go, no question.
Yeah.
He wins. The question now becomes, is Blachowicz gave the formula for how to beat him. And can a smaller man in Vettori get that done?
Trick. I don't think it's as simple to say, okay, now Blachowicz has, like, when you have a guy who is undefeated, like, or hasn't been defeated for a long ass time, for like Adesanya, and
well, he was undefeated in his MMA career.
Like I'm saying now, like he's not, but wasn't, or at the time was undefeated, and then one guy comes and beats him. And it's like, oh, we have a formula now. I think that's true for some people. I think a lot of the times that's more of a chin thing, or a, it wasn't like there's a weakness in Adesanya's game that applies to the middleweight division. I just don't.
I would almost. I think I think you're right where the formula wasn't given, because I think we always knew what the formula was, and is if you get really aggressive wrestling. You can do it. He's just had a supreme takedown defense to be able to avoid that to this point, and nobody has been able to take him down. So when Blachowicz, where you can argue with just that Adesanya really had no business being at light heavyweight because he didn't fill out enough for it.
Yeah.
And Blachowicz is a big light heavyweight, so he was able to use that extra weight, take him down. And then you say, is that a difference? Is Adesanya's ground game different if the size is a little bit closer? And the thing, Vettori is a massive middleweight. The last fight that he fought at middleweight, so 185, the day of the fight, he was 212 or 214.
Yeah, that's pretty big. And you're getting close to Blachowicz. So you're not close, but you're sniffing that.
Yeah.
And there's also, I think, the element for Adesanya, which is, like, say if you're playing baseball, you go up to bat, you put on the donut. You swing around a heavier bat, and then you step up to the plate, and it's all of a sudden your bat's 5-10 pounds lighter. There's also, I think, that element in 2 ways. One, Vettori's going to be much easier to have takedown defense against. Just anything that's grappling. Adesanya's going to say, wow, like this, I forgot how light this division really is, and it's not a light division, but in comparison, and then also you have the element of, when you're just, if Vettori takes him down, he just doesn't have that weight on him, that's, and then also third element is Adesanya is going to be lighter on his feet, which is, I mean, he's a dynamic guy, who's moving around. In that Blachowicz fight, he wasn't as mobile as he usually is, and I think that part of that is the extra weight. And I mean, it's not just the extra weight, but it's also, I mean, you have to be a little bit more careful. Adesanya has been flying pretty loose lately once he gets comfortable in fights, but then also if something's not right to Adesanya's going to be real careful. You think about the Yoel Romero fight, where it wasn't that Yoel Romero was really looking dangerous. It's just he was doing things that are just uncomfortable. you don't know where this guy's going with this. And you just stand there waiting out. And then with Blachowicz, it's you have to just give him a little bit more respect than other people that have been running through in middleweight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very different from the Paul Acosta fight, where Acosta really didn't get a lot of respect from. There wasn't a danger for Adesanya.
Adesanya in that fight immediately just recognized that he could piece him apart.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how Adesanya is feeling.
Yeah.
Going through camp and going through fight week when he's cutting weight, and to walk out into the cage with a little bit extra more pep in his step from the lighter, like there's just less to carry around, the endurance, who knows. Like,
and the thing is too is when you have to cut the weight, it forces you in training camp to be more disciplined. You have to do the extra cardio, you have to get in the extra rounds just to get the weight off, and that in turn makes you more prepared for the fight.
And it's not like Adesanya is the type of guy, because there's people in the UFC and in MMA that they make their bread and butter off dancing around, like, I'm going to fight a guy here, I'm going to fight a guy here, I'm going to fight a guy here. Adesanya's been locked into middleweight for so long that it becomes tied into your training camp. It's tied into like what you're eating, and I think to just all of a sudden say, I'm going to go hop up and take a title, like not just any fight, but a title fight.
Yes.
On a huge jump. It's not just you're going up 10 pounds.
Yes.
It
that's just
everything.
a 20-pound jump.
It's a 20-pound jump. So to be back into his old routine, and where it's also different for a guy like Adesanya, to be defending a belt and to be contesting a belt. It's totally different mentality. And I think the whole idea of contesting a belt is something Adesanya hasn't had to do in a very long time.
Yeah, it's a situation. Yeah, I would like a lot of people in this situation too. You're gonna say, is their confidence a bit broken? Are they gonna go into this a bit broken mentally? I don't think Adesanya is that type of guy. I think he is so, like, for lack of better terms, so high on himself. That's never a question. And then you add in the fact that not only he's beaten Vettori before. So in the first fight, he beat Vettori. So you're going back down to defend your belt. You're not losing the confidence, and it's a guy that you've already beaten.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that. So it's almost like he's probably walking in this like, oh, let me get my mojo back.
Yeah.
And then on the other side with Vettori, the thing with their first fight is Vettori feels very strongly that he won that fight. It was a split decision. So it's also a situation where Vittori's not walking into this with the, last time we fought, this guy beat me. Because in his mind, even though on the scorecards he lost, he thinks he won. So, I mean, this is a situation where Vettori might be going, I can't let this go to the scorecards because they're going to screw me out of it.
Once you get burned, once by the judges, you're never going to forget that. And then also, if you're the same guy you got burnt against, you're not taking any chances, especially now. I mean, this guy is one of the golden boys.
Adesanya? He's probably
he's the marquee guy. You throw him on UFC 4, you put George Masvidal on. Masvidal, who knows what he's doing. Adesanya, I mean, UFC has put a lot of money into the Adesanya brand. And it's not something we could just throw away. And I think that was one of the reasons people were kind of hesitant about the Blachowicz fight. But that's a little side mission. That's a little excursion, detour, whatever. And really, at the end of the day, Adesanya, I think, gets net respect gain for that happening.
Yeah, I don't think that fight should have ever happened.
I don't think it should have happened. And I'm not saying like I have a ton of respect for Adesanya. Like, it didn't change much about Adesanya because what happened, it was pretty much what I expected to happen. But I think in the eyes of the general sport and just the fan base that, like it or hate it, loves Adesanya, he got net respect for him. But now, I mean, this is where there's actually something to lose for Adesanya coming back.
No, I feel that. So who do you think wins this fight though?
I'm just gonna go Adesanya because I think there's just so many factors. I think he took the Blachowicz loss well. And I think for a guy like Adesanya, a loss is going to go a long way. I think it's almost the sauce that he needed. He needed to feel it in the UFC. I think that for a guy like Adesanya, who's a student of the game, very like he studies the game. I think that's an experience that he was missing out on, and I think when you saw the stuff with Paulo Costa, I think that was the peak of this kind of almost arc for Adesanya, where it's just okay, I've now peaked in terms of all like everybody that I've wanted to beat, I've beaten now, and it's not even been close, and I haven't really been touched, I haven't really been hurt in my time in the UFC, and like I'm just running the show now, and it was a bit it got a bit out of hand, I would say, with the Paulo Costa stuff.
I think that was a situation where you have Adesanya is inherently just awkward, and he constantly pushes the line. It's almost like he does. He doesn't know where he doesn't know where to push the line, and the people are very forgiving with him for that, where they're not with a lot of other people. So I think it's a situation where, and then Costa, who again is somebody who English not a first language and is also inherently an awkward person, and they had a dislike for each other, and they were trying to build a fight.
Okay, so there's more. So there's more to the story, but I think it's also an image of just the Adesanya that there was nowhere to go with Adesanya.
Well, because like you go like right now, if Adesanya beats Vettori, who somebody's already beaten, likely it's Whittaker, who he's already beaten. After that, you're looking at maybe Brunson, who he's already beaten. Like you have to. No other middleweight is really shooting up the rankings to take him on. The one guy who got that stop was Edmund Shabazian, who they were saying like was gonna fly up kind of on an Adesanya run, and then you get stopped by Brunson, and he comes back, gets stopped again by Hermanson, so that train's done. So it's just, like there's no emerging middleweights to kind of that I think are in a threatening position. I think that Whittaker, I think Whittaker has the best chance to beat him. I understand that the first fight did not in any way, shape, or form go his way. A lot was happening with Whittaker at that point. I think that rematch happens, it's a very different fight. And I mean, right now, in a situation, if Whittaker wins that fight on the comeback, that trilogy that would happen, you do that in Australia, in the Melbourne Stadium, I mean, that's got potential for one of the, not the biggest fights in UFC history, but venue-wise, it could easily be the biggest.
It could be very big, and I think I'm gonna back Adesanya. I think Adesanya wins this fight. It's just too safe a bet. It's too dangerous a bet to go the other way, and I think there's too many things in my head coming off of. I think the Blachowicz fight is, as I said, a net positive for him going back into middleweight. Yeah. So I think he takes it too. Yeah. And I'd hate to see it go to decision because then, I mean Adesanya wins a decision. I think especially a close fight, ties going to the runner who's Adesanya. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. So the next fight, again. Fight number 2 for these guys, Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno for the flyweight title. This is a fight that we saw in December, was the fight of the year. One of the fights of the year. Wasn't our fight of the year. It was one of our nominees. Figueiredo, it's kind of shocking considering it was a draw in the first fight. Figueiredo's coming at minus 250, Moreno at plus 195. It's a little bit wide odds considering the first fight was a draw and it was so close. But I think in that situation, people are taking a lot of stock of Figueiredo was not 100% in that fight walking into it. There was a lot of stuff the day before where he almost didn't make the fight. Yeah. He had fought a month before as well.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, to balance, and then that's going to make people lean Figueiredo, but Figueiredo did things to make Moreno not at 100% during that fight too.
No, but I'm saying like if Figueiredo was putting on that type of performance against a Brandon Moreno who we don't know, but let's assume Brandon Moreno's at least 90%, and Figueiredo. Was he though?
He almost puked on the.
Moreno, yeah, because he got hit in the nut. No, I'm saying walking into the cage.
Yeah, but I think
Figueiredo before he even took
what you're trying to do here is you're trying to say that Figueiredo, because he's going to be healthier, because he's going to be fine, then he has an up. But the thing is, whatever was going on in Figueiredo's life, early on, what was that, second round into that fight? So very early on in a 5-round fight, I mean, Moreno was taken down. I think it was a pretty evenly matched fight for we're talking about handicaps.
But you're talking about like a 5-round fight where somebody like Figueiredo, who the cut to 125 is tough. That was his second cut to 125 in 4 weeks. He had food poisoning, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
So that's something that affected his weight cut.
Yeah.
And is going to severely affect your cardio in a 5-round fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's something that things that happen in a fight, I get. Like, you can easily walk out and get rocked and then get
No, but getting
hurt.
rocked is different. It's different when it's a hit that should not be.
That illegal.
Like you don't think would you rather get food poisoning or would you rather get kicked in the nuts by Figueiredo?
I understand it, but you're also like Figueiredo paid for that in the fight, because if he doesn't kick him in the nuts, he wins the fight.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
because the reason why it was a draw is because it was point lost.
Well, we're talking, but I mean, Moreno was able to get it to a tie with. I'm just saying, if you're gonna play the Figueiredo's gonna be at 100% compared to last time, I think you have to give the same thing to Moreno, unless Figueiredo's just gonna walk out, use your strategy. Why don't they just kick him in the nuts every time? You get free.
That is something that MMA really needs to fix, is because you can't, you are right, where it's something that severely affects the rest of the fight, and 1 point is even it's not especially in a 5-round fight. 1 point's not enough.
It wasn't just a little tap and then like we're gonna pause, or an eye poke, where like you're talking about a guy that's about to his stomach's going inside out pretty much.
Well, when I remember watching it and thinking the fight's over.
Yeah, the fight's over. I mean, it was uncomfortable to watch. It was scary to watch, and you felt it, dude. You felt it.
Yeah.
It was, and so, and I think that is, I mean, part of the lore. I think, and this is, I mean, we're trying to compare these two guys here. We're having, and I'm aggravating a little bit, but what you can say from that is, so you had one guy who had things going wrong, food poisoning, it's like stuff. I mean, we work jobs, and they're not physical like MMA is physical, or any sport for that matter. But it's like we get food poisoning, we're probably calling in sick, just to sit at a desk and you know what I mean. And then these guys are just, I'm going to get into a cage fight with the best of the best right now.
Yeah, where you're talking about a situation where the littlest thing it's when you're against elite fighters, the littlest thing can ruin it. Yeah. So you're talking about just absolute gutsy performance.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, if I'm going to say who's going to win this fight, I think it's Figueiredo. I think Figueiredo turns it back to the Benavidez fights and the... Oh, I'm blank on the guy's name. That's terrible. The Perez fight.
Perez, yeah.
Yeah. I think he turns it back to those where he just... And the other thing, but he ran through them so easily. Yeah. I have to wonder if he went into the Moreno fight being like, well, this is just going to be easy again. And Moreno's chin and everything held up. Yeah. So there's a situation where does he go back to the drawing board? Okay, now I'm healthy. And this kid's tough. So I need to come into this with expectations of this isn't going to be an easy fight, which I have not had in a long time.
That's a good point in terms of, Moreno came out of nowhere, and now he's not going to come out of nowhere, and I think that favors Figueiredo. But one thing I want your opinion on this, because I mean Figueiredo is a guy that's just fighting all the time. He's defending all the time.
This is only his second defense.
But he's doing
third defense. Sorry,
he's doing it in rapid succession. Like
this will be his fourth. This will be his fourth fight in last 12 months.
Yeah. So,
that's pretty quick.
But the thing is, it's been between this fight and his last fight. How long has it been? It's been a while, right?
6 months.
Yeah, it's been 6 months. So
that's you're gonna fight regular timeline.
Yeah, if you're gonna fight 4. Yeah, but you fight 4 times this year, and 3 of those were in the first 6 months of that year.
Was it that? What was the time? When was the second Benavidez fight?
Let me pull this up right now. Let's just
pull up the Figueiredo on Tapology.
Yeah.
Good luck spelling that name.
Yeah, I'm just it's Figerea or Edo.
Go to Tapology. That's the best one I use.
Oh, I'm just on the Google.
Yeah, search Tapology.
Yeah, Tapology.
Yeah, for the people watching, if you ever want like free shout outs to them all the way, Tapology is an amazing website if you're looking up stats for fighters and previous fights and everything, and you can click through to the fighters they fought, the venues and everything. It's an amazing app.
Okay, so 2020. Let's see, in February, win over Joseph Benavidez. And then in July, win over Joe.
That's when he won the title.
Won the title. And then Alex Perez
was November, right?
It was November, and then a month later Moreno. So in 2020, you're fighting. Yeah, you fight 3 times.
He shot 4 times that.
Yeah. So, but who has a title and defends it twice in the course of 4 weeks? But
the thing was that that was it. But the Perez fight, he finished it within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And came out and was like, I'm ready to do that again. And with the December pay-per-view card, I don't remember what happened, but they needed the headliner.
Yeah.
Because I think that was supposed to be, who was that supposed to be? I don't remember it, but it must have fell apart because that ended up being the headline.
That was a last minute fight.
So that's not something I think that is less of I'm just gonna be super active, or I'm gonna give one to the UFC and you're gonna give me one to my bank account.
Yeah, but to the bank account, because so what favors is the UFC doing him? Like this is after the last Moreno Figueiredo fight. This is for me main event of a pay-per-view. It's they're flyweights. At the end, you're not having like. Yeah.
Because the thing is,
it's the content of the fight, Brad.
No, I understand
the actual fight itself.
I understand that, but this is not a casual fight. This is you have to be into MMA, UFC, like that type of fight. The casuals are not looking at Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, 2 guys that are not the strong. Brandon Moreno is pretty good with English. Figueiredo is not at all. For little guys, not well-known names whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Even though their last fight was one of the fights of the year, it's not selling pay-per-views, and that's all it comes down to. You look at somebody like Demetrius Johnson, who's one of the pound-for-pound best of all time. He defended the belt, I think, 10 times plus in the UFC, and he couldn't sell pay-per-view to save his life. Yeah. And it's the reason why they traded him to one championship for Ben Askren, who went 1-2 in the UFC and arguably brought more fanfare than Demetrius Johnson. And people are watching this are going to be furious with that take, but that's a logical take because Demetrius Johnson just couldn't sell.
Yeah, and I totally get the X's and zeros, or X's and I don't know what the dollar signs, the lines,
because
the
accounting
spreadsheets of it all.
But it's a business. It's about selling.
And I get that, and I'm not trying to be out here saying screw it, like it's terrible, like it's not about the. I don't want to be that guy. It's do what you want. It's a business, make money, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's more of a lament that it's just.
But would you also not be like, Adesanya is a household name, probably top 3 marquee guys in the UFC.
I get it.
So, but your job is to. We know the level of that this pay-per-view will bring because it's Adesanya. One Figueiredo, you're champion, so you're also getting pay-per-view points on his pay-per-view, so you're not selling it on your own. So right away, your cut for that is going to double at minimum. And your job is to put on a fight like the last time to bring fans to us.
Yeah. Well, and what I would say is, like, I'm way more excited to see, namely, Brandon Moreno fight.
Brandon Moreno kind of really won me over with that.
I'm more excited about him fighting this weekend, like in my mind, and this is no shade to either of those middleweights. No shade at all. It's just when everyone's saying, "Oh, the Adesanya card." I'm just thinking Moreno and Figueiredo.
Do you think Moreno's going to win?
Do I think Moreno's going to win? No. Mm-hmm. Just because I think there's just too many, and you brought it up earlier when you said that Moreno's not a surprise anymore. Mm-hmm. Figueiredo knows, Moreno has always known exactly who he's dealing with in a Figueiredo. Figueiredo did not know what he was dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think it's still going to be a good fight because, Moreno's only gotten better in this time. He's only gotten better, I'm sure. But I think Figueiredo has had the ability to camp for more than 3 weeks, realistically, with only Brandon Moreno in mind and an accurate representation of who Moreno is in comparison to him. I think Figueiredo has every advantage. It's Figueiredo's fight to lose. I'll put it like that. And I think Moreno's just is going to be very hard to put down. That's the thing. But if it goes to decision, I think Figueiredo is much more is good at getting points, and I think he's good.
And Figueiredo brings a lot more power.
Yeah, he brings a lot more power. But he's going to do visible, whether or not Moreno goes down, there's going to be damage on Moreno's body that judges are going to be able to see very clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel that.
And even now, I think that was the case in the earlier fight too, where it's just Moreno just looks like he's getting the piss taken out. I mean, credit to him for his chin, but I think. He wears it pretty well.
Yeah.
Or not pretty well. And I think with a guy like Figueiredo, he's gonna find ways to win, and especially when he has a 6-month camp where he's only thinking about Moreno.
I agree. The next fight, which is one that is very interesting and shocking to a lot of people, I think it's the first non-main event 5-round fight in UFC history. No, sorry, the first 5-round non-title fight that's also not a main event in UFC history. We have Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. Leon Edwards coming at -500. Diaz coming back at +355. This fight kind of came out of nowhere. You went from Leon Edwards not being able to get a fight with anybody with a name, having to take Bilal Muhammad. That's no disrespect to Bilal Muhammad saying having to take, but he's just not at the level of Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards should be getting top 5 guys or realistically a title shot. And then you got Nate Diaz, who comes out of nowhere, says, I'll take that fight, when Nate Diaz has so many better options out there just for for a fight that this is a fight that's, look at the odds. People are thinking it's not winnable for Diaz. Yeah. And there's just so many bigger names for him to chase, because Leon Edwards is not that well known with the casual fan.
If you're going to, I don't want to use the term sideshow, because I think that, for me, I can respect the entertainer in the world of MMA. I think most people can. So when I say sideshow, it's not like, oh, he's a sideshow, he's irrelevant to the thing. He's very relevant to what the model is for UFC, what people want to see, and is beyond just the fights. It's the selling the fights, who's going to be interesting in the cage, and who's going to tell a story even in loss, where it's like you look at a Nate Diaz and you look into his eyes, even when he's losing a fight, just that look in his the fearlessness in his eyes, that does something as a fan. There's an excitement to that. Yeah. So I'm any fight Nate Diaz is gonna take, I'm gonna be there for it. But you're right. There's bigger names. There are names that you could slap Diaz versus someone and then make it a fight night main event. You can make a whole night out of this sort of thing. And but I
think there's a lot of people that you could almost throw anybody and make him a pay-per-view main event.
Yeah,
he's almost or even a co-main. He's at that level. You look at his last 4 fights. It was McGregor, which are almost record breaker pay-per-views. Co-mains against Pettis on a huge card that was headlined by Stipe versus DC. And then the Masvidal Diaz fight where they made a belt because Nate Diaz spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
And then he hasn't fought since then.
Mm-hmm. And would you say, I mean, this is almost it's almost like a soft reboot for Nate Diaz to be fighting Leon Edwards. You know, in my mind, just because of the name, like, you're trying to figure out the model. See, like, and I think with Nate Diaz, there's going to be a lot of special rule. If Nate Diaz wants to stick around in the sport, there's going to be a lot of, I think, special rules for him. And we saw it with the belt, the BMF. He, as you spoke it into existence. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this is a 5-round fight. That's not a 5-round fight because of Leon Edwards. That's a 5-round fight because Nate Diaz is involved.
Yes, exactly.
You know? And I think he's such a fan favorite, and he's so entertaining and captivating to look at without being. It's a little bit more of a honest and down to earth character than like a McGregor. Which is,
I don't know if he's down to earth.
Not down to earth.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Down to earth,
but down to earth in the sense that
he's not like where McGregor's got the yacht. Nate Diaz is just living it like just the same life.
Yeah, and Chael Sonnen has said about him, if Nate Diaz woke up the next morning and no one knew who he was, and he looked himself up and there was nothing Nate Diaz MMA, like all that got wiped, Nate Diaz would shrug and go about his life. Mm-hmm. You know, whereas McGregor is. What is McGregor without it? Yeah. You know, and I think that is something that he's not jumping in because he's not jumping back into fight Leon Edwards because he wants to make he wants to make a rebrand of his name, or he wants to sell something, or he wants to just get like there's nothing other than I miss doing this and I want to do this on a huge level.
I think the thing is too is Nate Diaz, aside from winning a title, Nate Diaz has really done all you can do in the UFC. And he hasn't, like, the marquee win versus McGregor. And really, that's his only marquee win. Mm-hmm. The rest are just, all like, the biggest other name was probably Pettis in the co-main. But he's, like, made the money. He's one of the fan favorites. So it's just, you're missing the belt. You beat Leon Edwards. You're in the title picture. And Usman is looking for those money fights.
Yeah.
All he's got to do, and Ali Abdelaziz, who is Usman's manager, said if Nate Diaz wins, he's next.
Yeah. And do you think this is an interesting question because the 5 rounds, like, where does that come from? And if you're going to say, okay, if we're going to kind of peek behind the curtain and say, okay, Dana White, you're involved with setting up this fight, right? Who would you rather win this fight? In terms of, and you just brought up the golden thing. I mean, you beat Leon Edwards. You come out of nowhere, beat Leon Edwards. You're in the title picture, especially with Usman. Who else is he going to fight except money fights? And who is a bigger money fight than Nate Diaz?
Yeah, because right now the only option for Usman is the Covington rematch, which he seems to not want to take at this time. For whatever reason, he seems to not want to take it, which is frustrating as a fan, but if we can get Nate Diaz instead, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And if you're Dana White, did you almost say, I think a 5-round, I mean, Nate Diaz is going to be an underdog every day of the week, you know, in this sort of matchup. But do you think there was a calculated thought that maybe Nate Diaz is going to do better in 5 rounds?
I think that's the idea that Nate Diaz, I mean, Leon Edwards is a cardio machine, but I think Nate Diaz is going to do better in a 5-round fight. And I think it's also just a matter of with Nate Diaz, part of the appeal is just the 5-round war. Yeah. And you can't get, and it's just just 25 minutes of all out action.
It's over too soon if you have a 3-round with Nate Diaz, because part of it is, I mean, that 4th round feeling of like, man, this guy, like, both of these guys should be dead right now.
Yeah. Like, for somebody who's never been in an actual title fight, because we're not going to count the BMF for that title fights, it's somebody that lives up to the championship rounds. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I think that's why people are going to do it. Yeah. Who do you have actually winning this fight?
Leon Edwards.
Yeah, I think Leon Edwards.
I think
wipes the floor with Nate Diaz.
I think it's, but it's a but Nate Diaz takes it like a champ.
I agree. I honestly don't think it's a competitive fight.
I don't think either.
I think the odds are right.
And especially a Leon Edwards that, I mean, yes, he's probably getting a decent bag from this because he's definitely, this is a win for him, just on the night. But there's also got to be an element of, look, Usman's running through a lot of guys. Let me go next. Just let me take a chance at this.
And
what else? Like,
Edwards has been deserving of a title shot for probably 2 years.
Yeah, so it's to see a bunch of guys just shoot up past. You think about like a Gilbert Burns that just and then Leon Edwards been sitting around, and then you say go fight Nate Diaz out of nowhere, and we'll make it a like 5 rounds. You got to train for a 5. So, well, and also I think the 5 rounds, maybe it prepares Leon Edwards for a title fight. That's maybe a pro for him. They sold it saying, hey, you want a title fight, get used to fighting 5 rounds. Like, here's a chance where you probably won't even need the 5 rounds, but it's just if we get into those late rounds, just test, or even let's say Diaz gets knocked out second round. The first round, Leon Edwards still had to ration his energy in the chance it's a different mentality. Get Leon Edwards into that.
It's just the experience.
It's the experience. So I think on one hand it can be a like, oh man, like I just want to go. I want to shoot up to the top. This is a total detour here. This guy. I mean, this does nothing to the rankings. This is nothing. It just makes me some money, which some people are more about the money, some people are more about the climb. It's some people want both. So, but I think if you're Leon Edwards and you spin this the right way, this can be a very productive night, and you can really not build your name, because I would say Leon, but enhance your name.
I agree.
Off the back of Nate Diaz.
That's what's up. For the rest of the card, I mean, there's a lot of fights. There's 14 total fights on this card. Do we want to just run through? I'll name who's fighting.
Yeah.
And then we say who's winning.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them, like the top, it's a stacked card. Name value really top heavy.
Yeah.
And then that's what people are tuned in for. Is the first 3 fights, or the last 3 fights. Sorry. So the next fight is Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. It's a solid scrap at welterweight. Who do you got winning that?
I've totally gotten on the Bilal Muhammad train. I think, he's just on the rise. I don't, Damian Maia, like, I don't think he's got that energy right now.
Yeah, you got one guy going up, one guy going down.
Yeah, one guy going down. I think this is a classic, just on the main card, but just under the real spectacles.
Yeah, and for somebody that they say like Bilal Muhammad beat Damian Maia, when it's like, oh, but it was the Damian Maia. It's like on the way out. This might be his last fight, Damian Maia.
Yeah, so I think this has just perfect storyline. Like, everything's in place for this one. Bilal Muhammad's gonna win.
I agree. And then we got Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Solid scrap, light heavyweight. Who you got in that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, what? I
think Jamal Hill. I think like Paul Craig, he's always got that submissions there. It's available. But I think Jamal Hill's gonna win this. And then prelim headliner is Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. That's just such a fun fight. Fight at lightweight, where it's one where it gives Brad Riddell a chance to break into the rankings, and Drew Dober to kind of bounce back after Islam Makhachev just smothered him in that fight. So I think it like that's a super fun fight. I kind of lean. I think Dober for this one. I think he bounces back from the Makhachev. Like, I think he's the type of guy that he's gonna like take the loss in stride and be like, I gotta get
I think to come back on such a fun pay-per-view to be involved. I think Dober's gonna recognize the spotlight that is tonight, and the spot, which I mean, it's a prime spot to be the prelim main event. It's very underrated spot to be, especially in his position. I think he's gonna win he's gonna win a barn burner.
And I'm pretty sure Brad Riddell too. He's teammates with Adesanya, so there's a lot of times that all of these city kickboxing guys from New Zealand, they all fight on the same card, and I have to wonder, like, how stretched out does their coach get? Because like, you can only give so much attention to each guy, and Adesanya's gonna have to get the lion's share of it as the more important fighter with the title shot.
Yeah. So I that's a great point, and I think it's Dober's time.
The next one, big for the brand, Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart.
Eric Anders.
Yeah, I mean Eric Anders stands from our interview.
If you're listening, love you. We got to get you back on soon.
Yeah, I think we're obviously taking him, and then like from an actual fight perspective, the last fight because this is the rematch because Eric got the DQ is no contest from the illegal knee. Anders was piecing him up. All he had to do was take a step back and just finish him with punches.
You slip up, and Eric Anders is the type of guy who is not going to make excuses. He's going to tell you right away, I messed up, or he's going to say I effed up, knowing Eric, but he messed up, and he's going to walk back into training camp, and he's just going to spend hours just making sure that mistake is not happening again.
Yep.
He's a very disciplined guy. He's surrounded himself, even back to when he played football, with very disciplined coaches who are not going to put up with anything like this happening twice. And I think it's just going to motivate him. It's going to be I think, especially too, I mean, he knows he's got that danger. It's like you never know. It's got good. It's like when in baseball when you hit somebody, and it's like, okay, you're obviously not trying to hit them, and you're not going to hit them again. But the next time they go up to bat, or maybe people who've played Little League know this, there's a guy that's a little bit wild, he throws at you, you get hit. Next time you're at bat, you're not swinging, you're not really fully focusing on hitting the ball,
Yeah, a little bit scared.
You got that element, which is a little bit cheeky and kind of cheap when it comes to MMA, but it's real,
I'm glad they gave that fight back to him so he can get it back.
Yeah.
The next one, Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. It's a big fight for the 125-pound women's division. I think the winner of this gets the title shot next. I think Joanne Calderwood, I think she gets it done here. I think she is probably the second best flyweight in the division. She's not going to touch Shevchenko, but I think she gets it done here versus Lauren Murphy. How about you?
See, I think the one thing, and I don't want to be too stock here, and I agree, I think Lauren Murphy has an uphill battle, but I think those are the type, anytime she's a slight dog, that's always when she earns her nickname Lucky. She gets those points. She can just score so many takedowns, and a lot of times it doesn't go very far. Sometimes, I mean, it goes all the way to submission, but she's just a point machine. And in female strawweight division, you're dealing with, a lot of the times things are going to decision. And I think in a big fight, she can fight scrappy. I think this is going to be a good one. I think Lauren Murphy has not a slight edge, but because she doesn't have the edge, she's got something. I think she definitely has earned that nickname Lucky. Not to be too stock.
I feel that. Then we got...
it's like, okay, it's just we were supposed to run through these quick, so I'm not going to say anything, but okay.
The next one, we got Maxar Evolov versus Hakeem Dawodu. I think we got Stan Dawodu here. He's a Canadian.
Yeah.
He's actually a stud. Likely, Canada's best chance at getting into at least the deep into the rankings here.
Yeah.
I think he wins. I would like to see him get this win here and then get some higher level competition to kind of propel himself up.
Yep.
You agree with me on that?
No, I agree with you on that.
I feel that.
Let's keep this rolling.
Pannie Kinsade versus Alexis Davis. Completely honest with you, I have no idea. But I know who they are. I've seen them fight. I'm not going to be able to tell you.
I don't got a take here.
Yeah, I don't got a take
here. I don't have a take.
Yeah. Frank Camacho versus Matt Steamroller Frivola. Let's take Frivola.
Yeah.
You got the better.
Yeah.
Like,
at this point, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What are we getting to? Like 5 o'clock in the afternoon fights?
Yeah. I mean, the only other name one would be Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson.
Oh, Chase Hooper.
Chase Hooper's pretty sick.
He's so fun.
He's
fun
also like, if it's like he's so. His game is not refined, but one of these times he's gonna come out and that game's gonna be refined. So maybe it's this time.
Yeah. I think Chase Hooper is just, he's that guy. Every sport has one person that just brings it back down to earth, where it's like I see myself in that guy.
Yeah.
You know, this is a dude. This is an ordinary dude doing this.
Yeah.
You know, but still, and that's not a disrespect to Chase Hooper. It's just, I mean, because he's not obviously not just like that dude.
Part of the problem with that is like because he's so young, but he looks so young even for his age too. Yeah. Which it's just, you're like, why is this high schooler just like beating this grown ass man in this fight?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and any it's because they save him for the fun ones. They save him to put on at 5 o'clock, and that's just for the people that tune in for the whole thing for 7 hours of fights. Yeah, Dana White's just,
there you go.
You know, and it's always a great way to start the night.
Exactly.
And so,
you got anything else for the card?
No, I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a late night, dude. It's gonna be a late night.
Will be a very late night. Especially that's when I saw that they were making Edwards Diaz 5-rounder. I was like, come on, with 3 5-rounders, do we really need that? I could use some sleep. Yeah. But we'll stay up for it. I think we're gonna come back next Monday. Will be the recap of 263. Kind of look ahead for what the winners and losers are gonna be doing with this. And I mean, it was nice to be able to record in person for the first time in a long time. Yeah. And make sure you guys check out the channel.
Yeah, just keep it going. I gotta get this.
Yeah, we're getting the outro song. We were having major technical difficulties today, so make sure you guys like and subscribe. Check out our channel. We are now, in case you haven't noticed by the big thing right here, we are the 11th Island, not Big Game Talk anymore, but the archive's still there with all the other Big Game Talk videos. So we'll see you later.
A lot to put in an outro. See you later.
Make it big, make money by the side.